Hey, what is going on with y'all, man? It is Black Balloon, and I'm coming back with another video, so y'all already know what's going on. Alright, y'all. Now, as y'all can tell by the title and the guy that is on the screen, today we are going to do part 2 to the LA fires, right? So, a good bit of y'all may have seen it by now, as it's been going plenty viral on the internet, as far as Mel Gibson and Eddie Griffin, right? So Mel Gibson was also recently on the Joe Rogan podcast where they talked about a bunch of different things. But the clip that we have in particular today for this video aired on Fox. And as usual, Mel Gibson shared his opinion since his home was obviously burned down. He shared his opinion about LA and what he thought the fires actually were and how he felt that it was possibly done on purpose. Now, we also got a very interesting clip with Eddie Griffin. A lot of y'all may know, Eddie Griffin has been outspoken his entire career. He's touched on a lot of different stuff. I guess he's similar to Cat Williams, if I'm not mistaken. Cat Williams never really said anything about Eddie Griffin. Eddie Griffin is kind of like one of those solid ones that there's not much out there about him, but just what it is, And in the clip that we have where he talks about the LA fires, he definitely tells you what it is, or at least most of what we've already been talking about and thinking ourselves, especially some of it that we've already covered in part 1, right? So y'all already know, man, I thought this would be another good video to go ahead and go down the rabbit hole of the LA fires until the truth comes out, right? So these clips will be pretty interesting, and as usual, without me doing too much talking in this intro, y'all, we'll go ahead and get into the clip with Mel Gibson. Then we're gonna come back, talk a little bit more. So with that being said, y'all, check this out.
A lot of people say a lot of things about these fires. Obviously the winds were horrific, but they were predicted. I know you know that last weekend, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they said this could be tragic with these winds if any fire starts.
Sure.
Do you believe in what you know so far,
anything
could have happened like this?
Yeah, well, one always suspects that this might happen, but one thinks that the resources, and the capabilities of the men and women will be on standby, that they'll be able to cope with any situation that comes up. But apparently some people were asleep on the job, mainly our leaders there. But, that's something they have to live with. And but that's something that community has to live with, and it's really sad. I mean, I have many friends that are, looking for a place to put a roof over their heads, and kids, and they're traumatized. So, someone should answer for it, but we'll see. I think we know who the culprits are. In fact, my son he's a member of the volunteer fire brigade. He sort of interfaces between LA County Fire and people, and they assist them where they can during, before, and after the blaze. And apparently the residents in Corral Canyon caught an arsonist up there, and the guy was all tooled up with fire gear and equipment and stuff like that and ready to go, and he had been lighting fires, but they corralled the guy in Corral Canyon and gave him to the police. So
yeah, apparently
there are people actively going around looking for these conditions. Yeah,
apparently, Mel, that individual was never charged. It's a very confusing set of facts, because apparently he was reportedly trying to light things on fire, but it's not the fires, I guess, that they. I mean, it all seems very bizarre. But they have not ruled out that arson could have started the first fire. There's obviously still investigating this, and at the same time, Mel, there are numerous complaints, as you alluded to, that the fire hydrants did not have water or water pressure, and the LA fire chief herself reacted. Watch this.
My stance on this is when a firefighter comes up to a hydrant, we expect there's going to be water. We don't control the water supply. Our firefighters are there to protect lives and property and to make sure that we're properly trained and equipped. That's my position on this. So if there's no water, I don't know how the water gets to the hydrants.
Mel, reaction to that?
Well, I know they were messing with the water, letting reserves go for one reason or another. They've been doing that a while. California has a lot of problems that sort of baffle the mind as far as why they do things. And then in the events like this, you sort of look, well, is it on purpose? Which, it's an insane thing to think. But one begins to ponder whether or not there is a purpose in mind. What could it be, I don't know. Do they want the state empty? I don't know.
Well, Mel, there's already talk, and we played a couple of sound bites of reimagining the way rebuilding occurs. And obviously there's a great need for high-density housing in California and across the country. That's a big push by the climate folks. And you're already hearing rumblings of that. In this case, like goodbye single-family homes, hello high-density housing.
I can make all kinds of horrible theories up in my head, conspiracy theories and everything else, but it just seemed a little convenient that there was no water, and and that the wind conditions were right, and that there are people ready and willing and able to start fires. And are they commissioned to do so, or are they just acting on their own volition? I don't know. But they seem pretty well equipped, some of these people that they're catching.
So in the beginning clip, if you caught what he said there were people actively going around looking for these conditions. So he could have meant during the fire to start more fires, or looking for the right conditions of 100-mile-per-hour wind and starting a fire so it spreads everywhere. One of the two. Basically, either or, just as bad, right? So if it's these people were looking for these conditions in the fire, they were well-equipped people, one of them being turned in to the police but not charged with arson is highly questionable. But I think that pretty much, blows it open in a sense. By now, we know it was done on purpose. By now, we know people were placed, by commission to start more fires, keep it going so it can spread and do as much damage as possible, roast everything in sight, damn near. I think we can come to agree to that by now. I guess what's the biggest theory is why. Mel Gibson comes off as like very nonchalant. He said, I feel, a lot more sorry for my neighbors than I do myself. And I took that as like he knows what's going on. Obviously, he's on Fox. I don't think he's going to just tell it all like it is. But you can tell he really knows what's going on. The way he's answering the question and taking those really deep breaths like, yeah, I know what's going on, but let me answer this question the way I need to on Fox, So he just kind of comes off as really nonchalant and almost like he's over it. I feel like that's why he said he feels more sorry for his neighbors, maybe because they're not the position that he's in, maybe don't have the connections or see it the way that he does. And he's like, I know what's going on, but these normal people don't. They see it as maybe a natural occurring event, and it really wasn't. It really has a bigger agenda at hand, and it could be the smart cities or the rebuilding that they were talking about, land grabs. There's a lot of, theories going around, especially something that we touched on in the last video with the underground tunnels and the trafficking and everything. There's a lot of stuff going around about why this may have really happened. But, listening to that clip and just listening to the details, it really tells you everything you need to know if you're actually questioning if the fires were a natural occurrence. We know it wasn't. Like he said, the conditions were just right. 100-mile-per-hour winds. Y'all already told me that does not happen there. Just came out of nowhere. 100-mile-per-hour winds just spawned out of thin air. People walking around, setting more fires. I think there's enough proof now that we know this is not a natural occurrence, right? So we'll take this time to go into the next clip with Eddie Griffin. He talks about it a little bit more in his own way, you know, kind of like a little bit of comedy mixed in with it, but I thought it was very interesting to add to this video. So we'll go ahead and check this clip out, y'all. Then I'm gonna come back and wrap the video up, all right? Check this out.
A lot of people saying it's to cover up the pedophile trail, and all of a sudden the water ain't working, and hold on, 60% of the water rights is owned by this fucking couple. What's their name? Yeah, the wonderful company is owned by this husband and wife team. They own Pistachio, they own Fiji water. I stopped drinking any of that around the motherfucking globe. Let them motherfuckers go broke. Feeding the pistachios and almonds, all that goddamn water. Meanwhile, people's houses burning down, dying of thirst and shit. All these sons of bitches. And the regulators who allowed them motherfuckers to own 60% of the goddamn water. Fire them motherfuckers too, goddammit. What the fuck is y'all problem? That is public water. We built the dam that's holding that water and all that shit with taxpayers' dollars. How the fuck y'all gonna sign it over to this goddamn couple? Sons of bitches. Let's pray for the motherfuckers out there that houses is burning down and shit, unless they pedophiles. If they pedophiles, fuck them. Let that shit burn. Cause I know what you're doing. You're burning the evidence up, sons of bitches, but we still gonna catch you. And let somebody do some research. In the rich neighborhoods, who had already left their house and knew that the fire was coming? We'll be right back after this commercial break. Leave it in the comments. There's no water pressure because somebody in the state turned the power off. And when the power's turned off, the pumps that pump the water so that there is water pressure were turned off also. I wonder who that was. And the irony of it all, that the fire looks just like the fire in Maui. Let's check all the Crip neighborhoods, because if the Crip neighborhoods are still up because they blue, we know. I don't care if you're blood, wear blue, play it safe, wear blue until this shit clears up. We'll be right back after this commercial break. Also, they fired, I heard they fired over 60% of the fireman's staff 3 to 6 months before the fire hit, so somebody knew it was coming and wanted to make sure that the houses they wanted burned down. Google 2028 is gonna say Los Angeles smart city. So the best way to get a smart city is by burning out all the residences, and then you can start fresh and build a fucking smart city. This is what the fuck your government is doing to you. They don't give a fuck about us. As Michael Jackson said, all I want to say is they don't give a fuck about us. And another goddamn thing, State Farm canceled fire protection on homes 3 months before the fire. Who tipped them off? Who keeps tipping off motherfuckers that a natural disaster is about to happen? Because it's not natural, it's an unnatural disaster, and State Farm need to be shut the fuck down. Get them people their money back. They done paid in for year after year for fire home protection, and then you're gonna cancel the goddamn policy right before the fire hit. Get them motherfuckers they goddamn money, or face the consequences. It's time. Right to bear arms. Right to bear arms. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
He's a desperate resident. Yeah, he just ran up to me right after we were on a few minutes ago. He said, please help me. Chris, tell us what's going on.
Hi, I was told that my house burnt down. I drove up. I needed to see it. I wanted to get some clothes for my son. The entire neighborhood is burnt down, but somehow my house does not even have a scratch. There's no fire damage. I went in, but the house next to mine is still on fire. So I'm going around begging anybody to come put out that fire to protect my home.
Because there's no water.
There's no water pressure. I tried to turn on the water myself. I would have tried to put it out, but I have no water pressure, so I have no way of putting it out.
So you and your wife are just trying to go get bottled water?
Yeah, so my wife went to get bottled water. I'm going to meet her down the hill, and we're just going to try and throw bottled water on it, but I don't know if that's going to work.
You need a lot more than that.
This is even crazier. Some of y'all may find this to be very interesting. Janice Quinones, right? She's the Chief Executive Officer, CEO, and Chief Engineer of the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. the nation's largest publicly owned water and power utility. She leads the organization of more than 11,000 employees, delivering water and power to 4 million residents of Los Angeles. When she got her new position of chief engineer of water and power in LA, she skyrocketed to a whopping $750,000 a year salary. Now, her job is to do the exact opposite of what happened. There was no water pressure. There was no water. The guy at the end of that clip was talking about using a bottle of water. A plastic bottle of water. I don't even know why he said that. Yeah, my wife's going to get some water. We was going to throw some water bottles on the fire. Y'all, these people are doing something you would never even think about. They're trying to throw a bottle of water on the fire. Desperate. Saying, wow, got them thinking out of this world. Like that would actually work, because this lady couldn't even do her job. Now, it said the mayor was in Africa. She in a whole... the mayor was gone. She wasn't even there. This lady right here, she makes more than the mayor. The mayor doesn't even make $750K. Think about that. Both of them dropped the ball completely. If we want to talk, political, put it on these people who are in charge, as in kind of like Mel Gibson was saying. He was like, we know the culprits. We know who's responsible. And he may have not even been talking about these two. But, we're just speaking on the facts here. This is absolutely insane. Everything adds up to this being strategic. And Eddie Griffin asked a good question. He's like, who in the rich neighborhoods moved out right before this happened? Now, I'm not sure. I couldn't verify if a bunch of firefighters got fired or laid off. Y'all remember they were talking about the budget cuts, but I think the budget was actually increased by $50 million. So that was like, I don't really know if we got down to the bottom of that, but that was a good question to ask. Who knew about this stuff? Who started moving out? Blah, blah, blah. Because obviously people knew. The mayor was in Africa. She knew what was about to happen. This one it's not a head scratcher. Maybe we won't know the exact reason till down the road, but we know this was not real. This was not nature. This is an agenda. Maybe 2028 will let us know, or how they go about rebuilding. If they actually do implement these smart cities, if this is, the intro to something even bigger, who knows? Mel Gibson was like, what? Do they want the whole state gone? There's this one. I mean, it's a pretty deep rabbit hole. It feels very political, feels very staged, planned, strategic, whatever word you want to use for it. But it wasn't what they're trying to tell us. But at the same time, they actually did tell us that these fires were started by people. I mean, if you listen, they tell you what happened. They set people around in the area that were well-equipped, fire gear on and everything, and they started these fires. Come on, y'all. Come on, there's really not much else to say. Like I said in the last video, if anything else comes out about all of this stuff, y'all want a third part, we'll be sure to cover it. Yeah, man, it's Friday. Hope y'all gonna have a good weekend. Y'all already know we're coming back with another video. It won't be on this topic, but I do got another video for y'all coming up. And as always, man, feel free to request whatever y'all want to see on the channel. I'll be sure to do my best and get them done. So with that being said, y'all, it's Black Balloon, and I'm gonna see y'all soon. I'm out.